In one breath, Metallica are both one of the most beloved bands and one of the most hated. Most are usually one or the other, sometimes you can be both. But what's interesting about Metallica is that everyone who hates them at one point loved them. You either die a Hesher or you live long enough to become the Dave Mustaine. But with them, there lies the holy trinity of Metallica songs: Enter Sandman, Master of Puppets, and One. And I don't think I'm alone when I say One is by far the best of these. It's the only one that people aren't tired of listening to. Every time you go to a football game, you know you're gonna hear Enter Sandman. Every time a radio station plays a Metallica song, it's gonna be Master of Puppets. You don't mind them, they're still great. It's just you've heard these a million times already and you're kinda over them. But I cannot name an instance where someone I've known has decided to skip One. It is that level of beauty and ferocity that encapsulates everything we love about them. But whenever I go back to their first 4 albums, as I'm sure everyone else does, One feels like this end goal they were always trying to get to. So to understand this, it's only right that we start at the beginning. Kill 'Em All, like other debuts from the Big Four, is an album driven by nothing more than them wanting to play faster than everyone else. But it's not until Cliff Burton takes center stage with Anesthesia Pulling Teeth that we start to see a different side of them. Not only does this give us a chance to breathe while listening to the album, or let Cliff show how important he is to the band's sound, but what they would expand upon in future releases can be traced back to this right here. These more tender moments that help to counterbalance the intensity of their music. What's interesting to me is that these feel like moments where Metallica has to earn the right to be Metallica. But there's also the structure that they lift from this. Start pretty with just a bit of grim to it. And let the song build to a payoff. Now, before I go any further, I need you guys to understand something for me. Just because you criticize something does not mean you think it is bad. Criticism is not always negative. Every song I'm gonna talk about is great. They're genius. I've listened to them 1,000 times, and I look forward to listening to them 1,000 times more. I love them. I'm not trying to talk down on any of these as if I could do them better. I am simply pointing out areas that One shares also, but does perfectly. Okay, let's do this. This is where I'm sure many would agree Metallica started exploring other ideas in their music. This was due in part to Cliff, who started introducing the rest of the band to the basics of music theory, since he had a more diverse knowledge than the rest of them.
But a true and total musician. He loved music. He was probably the only one in the band that had studied music properly, going to music classes, studying theory, and he introduced harmony to me. The guitar player and singer, hello, thank you.
But either way you spin it, Fade to Black is where you see them taking a step back from Speed and letting their musicianship really shine through. Which is why I've always asked myself, why then do I feel so empty-handed when this song is over? Still love it. Let me clarify that. I still love this song. But you can tell the formula needs some work to it. First of all, the lyrics to the song are very one-dimensional. It's true when they say the simplest answer is usually the best one, but it doesn't help when it's not used to flesh out greater concepts. The song centers on someone who is depressed and feeling suicidal thoughts, but the lyrics themselves aren't... God, how do I put this? The lyrics don't add any perspective to the topic, so I don't feel anything from this. It's a simple theme with simple details.
I have lost the will to live, simply nothing more to give. Emptiness is filling me to the point of agony.
But that's fine. Music and lyrics don't always have to work together. You can have one or the other done right, and that will be enough to carry the song for you. and the music is awesome. And that's the problem. While they do use minor chords to try and convey that sadness, the rest of the guitar work doesn't quite match. And when we reach our climax where everything is meant to come together, this riff kicks ass, but its tone is out of place. When we reach our big climax, where our narrator is at his lowest, the song around him feels big and epic, which doesn't make sense. Where I should be feeling crushing loneliness, all I think is a crowd of fans going, and the song itself does not build to this properly either. When we reach our refrain in the first half, this riff does not signify how he's feeling or any sort of buildup. It signifies release, which means whatever buildup we've had for the last 2 minutes is now released also, and they have to start all over again with building up that tension. I can't wait for you guys to tell me how wrong I am in the comments, by the way. So to recap, the music's great, but it doesn't work with the theme. So how do you do this better? Well, what about adding more dimension to the lyrics? What if they explored why this person is emotionally distraught? What is causing this sadness?
Welcome to where time stands still. No one leaves and no one will. Whisper things into my brain, assuring me that I'm insane.
So lyrically, this feels much more complete. By adding the element of a sanitarium, a sense of isolation, James is able to incorporate things like opposing forces, lost ambition, deception, hopelessness, and so on and so forth. And musically, this song conveys these emotions much better too. Now, if you've ever been taught music or how to play an instrument, you've heard the expression, it's the notes you don't hit that matter more than the ones you do. On Fade to Black, James's acoustic picking shows they're not confident enough with themselves yet to play it slow. But when compared to Welcome Home Sanitarium, what's different here is that they actually let the notes hang, which reflects how empty and silent the surrounding space is, and it gives the song a chance to breathe before actually starting. The chorus adds on to this by painting this image of someone locked in a room beating the walls, stopping to catch his breath, and then continuing until finally giving up. And this is not done with lyrics, this is done through music. So where does this song drop the ball? While the second half is built up appropriately, it doesn't fit emotionally. Like Fade to Black, it just sounds like they're jamming out and trying to have a satisfying conclusion for Metallica fans.
Kill is such a friendly word, seems the only way for reaching out again.
I will say, something this definitely does better is that where Fade to Black has no real ending and just repeats itself until fading out, this actually feels more structured. Now we reach 1, the song that does everything right. So how does a song that does everything right begin? By adding on to Welcome Home Sanitarium, we now have another dimension for our narrator's sadness. The song is influenced by a Dalton Trumbo novel, Johnny Got His Gun, about a soldier returning from the war without arms, legs, unable to speak, see, or hear, and is ultimately a conscious vegetable on life support. So with these songs, we've seen a progression in thematic layers from someone being depressed to understanding why they feel isolated to what has caused that isolation, with each song continually adding on to what the previous one lacked. They even take the same notes from Fade to Black's intro and apply the slow pace of Welcome Home to it also. After the intro, the guitars start to meticulously come in piece by piece, quiet and solemnly, as if these are the first noises being heard after the battle, or more so the steady rhythm of a heart monitor in a hospital room, with Kirk's guitar mimicking people talking around him. Since he can hear their voices but not the words they're saying, this helps to immerse us into his position with only his thoughts being given for information.
I can't remember anything, can't tell if this is true or a dream. Deep down inside I feel the scream, this terrible silence stops in there.
And the distorted chorus is even used to further reflect this frustration.
I'll hold my breath as I wish for death. Oh please God, wake me.
But this short burst is cut off and is immediately juxtaposed by Kirk's soft solo, to signify that despite his internal struggle, from the outside he seems fine, and the world around him continues while he suffers. When this comes back a second time, it digresses to the second half it's been building to, as the situation begins to seep in and he grows more and more dejected. As the song grows, the guitar high notes are used to highlight the tension he's feeling. We steadily transition into this section made to sound like a war zone, with Lars using his double bass kicks to stimulate machine gun fire, before the rest of the band joins in to further that image. Whether this is a flashback moment to the battle we heard in the beginning, thus coming full circle with the story, or him seeing the situation as his new war, the climax to this is vivid, intense, and terrifying at times. It conveys everything you need to know: the gunfire around him, the chaos, and the pain he feels from fighting. Everything is right here and is done to perfection.
Landmine has taken my sight, taken my speech, taken my hearing, taken my arms, taken my legs, taken my soul, left me with life in hell.
No matter how you spin it, One is perfect on every level. As a composition, as a metal song, as a Metallica song, and, in some ways, a tribute to Cliff. In my mind at least, it's a display of all the lessons they took away from him in life, rolled into one perfect song that eulogizes his memory the best way they and we knew him, with their instruments and rocking the fuck out. It's overly sentimental, I know, but with how important he was to them, I don't find it that hard to believe either.
Hope you're feeling great too.
I'm feeling ready to throw it down.
Just a post in Retroactive magazine.
Huh?
Something I bought this summer. I went to Sweden to see some show, and they're doing something. I think it's right there. You got some old pictures in there, and they show where it happened.
Oh yeah.
All the shit.
It's the last interview.
It's the last interview in there, because I don't understand it.
And some of the photos
it's
of the
all
last
in
photo session.
all Swedish.